Melanie, I am so excited to be chatting with you and having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, I did the official intro, of course, but why don't you tell everyone listening just a little bit about the work that you guys do and who you ultimately are helping?
Yeah, so we work with mid-market executives who we say are time-starved and growth-minded that have reached a pivot point in their business that they need help with people strategy. So oftentimes it's coming in and looking at hiring processes, how they're developing leaders, and then their culture. So we come in and take a holistic view of how to move them to the next stage.
Yeah, and then you guys provide like tools for them to use as well. It's not just like, hey, here's some consulting. It's like, here are the tools that are going to keep serving you, which I think that's a really cool part of your business too.
Yeah, that's a great point. One of the things that we do with the tool we have is called the Predictive Index, and it is a talent optimization platform that underpins all of what we're doing so it becomes sustainable and not just kept up at the C-suite, but disseminated through the middle level of management, which is where companies typically break, is in the middle.
Yes, those poor middle managers. They get a
They
lot.
have a hard job.
They got a lot. This is why I own my own business and I don't sit in middle management somewhere.
Yeah, I've been there too.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, cool. You have been in the Building a Referable Business coaching program. We're not quite at a year. So by the time that this podcast episode goes live, you won't have hit your year mark. You're still a couple of months out from that. But before we kind of dive in on what BRB and the referral strategies that I teach have meant for your business, why don't you talk a little bit about the work that you do as it relates to why referrals are so important for being able to connect with potential new clients?
Sure. So typically, the initial conversation that we're having is with the CEO of a mid-market company sized between, and I'm going to go employees because that's where we come in with level of complexity in the business. Typically, when they hit about 50 employees up through kind of 500 employees is that range where they're growing rapidly and they know they need help doing something differently as it pertains to hiring, developing, and retaining their people. And you don't get access to a CEO through cold calls or, I heard you're great at this, so I wanted to have this conversation. You get those conversations and that audience with them through typically a trusted source they're already working with. So, for example, those CEOs are in peer groups, and there is a chair that runs those groups. And so we get a lot of referrals from them. Strategy consultants often are working with the C-suite team around how do you disseminate and communicate that strategy down to that middle level so that people are clear on the execution of how to get to results. So those are our typical kind of referral partners that see issues with people, and then the CEO is motivated to have that conversation to solve that issue.
Yeah, I think that's really important, the identification. And I just recently did a podcast episode about this. I'm not going to force myself to remember the exact number of the episode, so I'll just link to it in the show notes page for this episode for those of you listening. But I just did an episode on understanding the referral sources that swim upstream versus downstream from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Melanie, what you just did is like laid it out very perfectly in terms of these are the types of referral sources for your business, typically, right? Not only, but typically
Right.
that swim upstream from you, meaning they're having conversations with the CEOs long before you would ever be a part of the picture. And they're identifying, hey, you've got these problems and we need to figure out how to help you to solve them. And that being strategy consultants and it being folks that run CEO type peer groups. And so I think identifying, that's a big part, right? Like we always talk about this inside BRB is that this isn't like a spray and pray model in terms of let's just see who we can get referrals from. Let's just try everybody. No, that's a recipe for a waste of time. And so we want to make sure we're getting really clear on who's having these conversations with our potential clients before we're ever on their radar, that can uncover these problems and then be able to refer those potential clients to us. And I love how crystal clear you are with that, because it's really important. It's, in some cases with folks that I'm working with, it takes a while for them to get to like, not only, it doesn't take a while to identify who are their best referral sources, but their willingness to go all in into those folks and say, these are my couple of groups of people who are best served to refer to us. And of course, we're not talking about your clients in this case, but they exist too. Obviously, you get referrals from clients as well. So that's always, I always just like set that aside. Clients, yes, their strategies around referrals from them, but let's also make sure we know who swims upstream from us. So I love how crystal clear you made that. That's probably going to help somebody listening be like, okay, that answer was very clear to know who should be referring to me. And I'm assuming as you narrowed in on, this is who should be referring to us, this is where those people hang out, this is how we're getting in front of those people. I know one of the things you talk about within BRB, it's a little bit I think it's a ROI that I don't think people talk about that much, but it's there. It's right. I feel like every time we talk about ROI on any type of investment, but in this case, in the coaching program, most of the time we're talking about how many referrals, right? And then how many more referrals, and then revenue from those referrals. But I love your approach to looking at this from a time saving perspective. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with you being very laser focused on who refers to you. But talk a little bit about how working within the coaching program has helped you get to that place of being like, okay, this is how I'm saving time with my referral strategies as well.
Okay. So I think before I did the program, first of all, it did take me a little while to figure out who the right partners are as referral sources, because some of the ones that seem like you're most drawn to and you have commonalities, maybe the types of clients they will work with don't align with who you want to work with. So that did take time. I'm going to say, if people are listening, that took a couple of years. So don't feel bad if you're in that stage, okay? But as far as what the program has done is I think we were 5.5 years into knowing kind of who we are and having cultivated those sources. And I really needed a better way to stay in front of the sources and have a organized way to add a few new ones at a time. Okay. Because my role is not just business development. I own the business. So what your program did was gave me a structure to really start categorizing the sources that have referred to us, because I was spending a lot of my time chasing the new ones and it felt overwhelming because I wasn't organized about how I was following up with them. And instead of that, it took me to a mindset of, let's first really hone in on the ones that have created the most value. And then let's have really intentional, structured touch points that keep you front of mind, that aren't exhausting or don't feel disingenuine or not asking for something. So I absolutely love that now I have that in one place. It also brought more activities that I'm doing with the referral sources that I actually enjoy, that now are business development, but they don't feel like it. So I love the touch points of the gift being something small that you can even just send out to the people we've identified as those most important referral sources. And some of them even tagging me on LinkedIn when they open it. And it's, something as simple as a note in the summer with a tea bag and instructions on how to make an iced tea in Texas, right? So I love that kind of thing. And I would have never associated that with business development in the past. So I think it's just, first of all, given me more intentionality and structure and clarity of how to stay in front of those people. It's given me activities to do that don't feel creepy, slimy, what's in it for me. And then it's given me the structure to have the intentional ones I'm cultivating and a way to even opt them out if we aren't gelling or I'm not seeing the synergies, and not feeling bad about it, Like before I would have felt like, oh, I have to kind of keep meeting with this person, even though I kind of know that they're probably not going to refer me. And I'm very big on referring back too.
Yeah, I think that we come into, I find with most people, when they come into the coaching program, they come in with all these, I should be doing, I need to be doing, I'm supposed to be doing, right? There's all these things that this baggage that people bring to the
Mhm.
table because there hasn't been this structured approach and understanding exactly what should be happening with their referral sources. And then when they start identifying their existing referral sources and building out the touch point plan, and then identifying their potential referral sources and building out their running five, keeping warm, right? Then they realize, oh, wait, there's structure behind this. There's a reason and an objective behind this. And yes, we come at everything from a place of gratitude and thankfulness. Like we should take care of the people that are referring to us. Like that makes business sense, right? So we come at it from that place. And then it gives us that structure to be able to say, but that doesn't mean everybody fits. And that's
Mhm.
okay. In some cases, it's like giving permission for people to be like, you don't have to keep cultivating that relationship. That doesn't mean you don't love that person. That doesn't mean that person's not amazing. It just means you don't have to keep cultivating them. And I think people get really stuck in that place of like, but I feel like I should. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
when we kind of see it right from that perspective, I think it's, so I sometimes I spend time feeling like I'm just helping people remember how to be a good person and then giving them permission to do the things they kind of already know they need to do, but giving it to them in a way that they don't feel like they're going to miss out on something because now we have this structure and this platform and this procedure kind of behind it, which I think has been great to kind of see that you run with. And, obviously I know how busy you are and you travel around to do a lot of speaking engagements. So folks, if you're ever listening for anybody to come, if you're listening and you ever want someone to come in and speak to in your organization about Melanie's area of expertise, her sweet spot, she's a fabulous presenter. But you also travel a lot. You're a mom, you're a wife, like you've got a lot of stuff going on in addition to just being the business owner as well. So I love it when you're like, it's saving me time while
Mhm.
having the intended positive, right, results that we are looking for as well, which is really great. And I think something that sometimes people overlook is that ROI on time saved, when obviously when it's working, right, is as valuable as any other result that we can get. And I want to go back and talk about the tea bag example that you gave. So that was one of Melanie's touch points, right? And it's so funny because you're like, how to make tea in Texas, that's how that touch point worked. Now, if people are like, I don't get it, you kind of have to be in the program, I think, for how we build out the outreach, what we call touch points, but the outreach that we do for our existing referral sources, and in some cases, potential referral sources. Not everybody is sending out a tea bag. Like this was Melanie's
Mhm.
specific touch point. And it made me think about when you said like how to make tea in Texas. I was like, if I did that, how to make tea in the South, I'd be like, forget the tea and just dump in a whole bunch of sugar.
Sugar.
That's
Yep, that's
all we
true.
need. That's all. Here's how you
It's in
make
little
tea.
sugar packets.
And you need like 1,000 of them. I mean, yes, totally. Oh gosh, that's so funny. Um, yeah, so I love the fact that when people are customizing their outreach to their referral sources, we focus on letting their personality shine through. And what I love is that you made that connection to, and then it doesn't really feel like business development. It doesn't really feel like I'm trying to do that business development work. It just kind of feels fun and good.
Mhm.
And, definitely, I think as you kind of think through all the things you could be doing for business development, this is definitely, I'm assuming you would say, a better way
Oh my goodness.
to go
Yeah,
about doing it.
absolutely. Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more fun. And I get to involve my team in it because we come up with ideas for these touch points. And, we're having our first client appreciation event as a result of this program next week. And, we're focusing it on gratitude. So it really kind of ties a bow on what we've been doing throughout the year. And we've gotten a great response of people that are excited to come and learn what we mean by that and, be in community with other like-minded folks that, are thinking going into the holidays about how can I better express gratitude?
Yeah. It was perfect. I can't wait to hear how that event goes. Okay. So, what is one thing that you would say that was like an aha moment that you had when you joined the coaching program and you kind of learned the different ways that we generate referrals? What was either like an aha moment that you had or something that surprised you that you didn't anticipate?
I mean, I don't know that I had like an aha. I think it was more, oh, there actually is a way that you can put structure around what has felt like nebulosity. So that's probably not, that's why I'm like, it's not an aha, but it is an aha. It's not an in the moment. It took time because the steps you take in the beginning, maybe my aha was I didn't realize how disorganized I was. Okay. So like I had to put the list together and cull it down. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is daunting, right? So my aha was, I guess, that I was wasting a lot of time on a lot of energy and effort that probably wasn't in the right places. Maybe that was my biggest aha.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's different for everybody. And some people have like little tiny ahas throughout. And some people kind of have like that first big one, like, oh my gosh. And for some folks, it's just the willingness to think about referrals differently. Like, wait, I
Mhm.
can get these without asking for them. I have to do other stuff, right? I can't just like, cross my fingers and wish that they're going to show up. But I can do other stuff, but like, thinking about referrals differently. And then for other folks, it is like, hey, we have good stuff happening, but to that point, we're not as organized or as streamlined as we need to be so that we can,
Mhm.
save time and have the same kind of results. So, okay. So let me wrap up by asking you this final question. When you think about the coaching program in BRB, if you were having a conversation with someone about the coaching program and joining, what would you say to them as to like, hey, just jump off the fence, go all in and join the coaching program?
So, well, I have two people that have joined your program directly as a result of me saying these things, but it would be in conversation with someone that is a services provider that shares with me that they are kind of overwhelmed with their business development activities or the energy they're putting in is not yielding enough return. I have said you need to work with Stacey Brown Randall in her program because she gives you a way to make this so much less, with so much less friction and with efficiency and clarity. And for the right people that I run in circles with, those are the people that immediately reached out to you. Both the people that you have worked with because of my,
Yep.
sharing that with them, it was one time.
Right.
I said this one time to them, and they're like, I got to work with her.
Yes. They're like, let me
Because
join. So,
people know I am all about maximizing everything I do. So if I recommend something because it created utility and efficiency and maximization for me, they're like, oh, well, then I'm going to do it.
oh my gosh, I love that. Yes. And Jonathan and Mindy have been amazing to work with as well. Yes. I do appreciate that. Not only are you a client, but you are also 100% ratio of referred prospect to client for me as well. 100%.
Girl, I told you I'm a reciprocator. That's
I
where my relationships, I want to only have relationships where I can also provide a source of revenue for them. That's like makes my heart so happy to know that, if you're helping me learn something that increases my capacity, I want to do the same for you.
Wow. I appreciate it. I very much appreciate it, of course. And I love that that's your heart. And I love that that's the place that you come from. There is something to be said for the people that I help and the people that ultimately end up having success. Not only do they have to do the work, right? The stuff is not like just like you don't push a button and things just appear, right? So not only do you have to do the work, but you also have to come at this from the right place, from a heart place of feeling like, yeah, I want to take care of the people. Right. I want to take
Mhm.
care of the people who take care of my business, and I want to cultivate and help other people first before I expect something to come back my way. I think that's really, really important and kind of goes to the mindset of how all this works. So, okay, perfect. Well, Melanie, I thank you so much for spending time with me today and being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.